In a world full of bad news, this podcast is a source of good news, real talk, and real inspiration. On this show, you'll hear stories of growth, legacy, and entrepreneurship. Everyday people who overcome real challenges to build something meaningful. My name is Steven Padernacht, third generation Bronx born and raised in the real estate game. This is the Padernacht Podcast, Brick by Brick. Today's guest is someone whose journey is a true testament to perseverance, growth, and selfless leadership. Vanessa Villanueva, a proud Latina and the driving force behind the Moravia sales team at Keller Williams in the Bronx, has faced and overcome both mental and physical challenges that would have made many people quit, but not Vanessa. She not only brought herself back from personal setbacks, she did so while lifting others up. As a leader of a team that faced its own struggles, Vanessa has helped shape a culture of strength, support, and forward momentum. I've had the honor of knowing Vanessa on a professional level for nearly 6 years, and I've watched her grow into a powerhouse in the Bronx real estate world. What she's built with her team isn't just impressive, it's inspiring. This episode is about more than just success in business. It's about grit, heart, and staying the course when the road gets rough. It's proof that the path to success isn't linear, but if you stay grounded, make a plan, and stay committed, you will find your way. I'm proud to share this conversation with Vanessa today. So what comes to mind when you hear that? How does that make you feel?
A lot, very humbling, because it was at the thick of it. It's like I couldn't see any of that, what you're talking about or what you mentioned. It was just a lot of fog, and now that a lot of that clarity and that fog has removed itself, I'm really proud of myself.
You should be.
I'm like, wow. I need that on every bio.
You should be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
If somebody was to ask, who is Vanessa, how would you answer them?
I would say a loving, family-oriented Latina from the Bronx. Very fortunate to have never gone without, but always wanted to lift others and inspire others who would be less fortunate or limited. And I feel like just that loving humbleness, that mama bear spirit coming out.
Mama bear.
Yeah.
Have you always been this way?
I would say so. I would say that I've always, I was surrounded by family. So it was always, how do we help each other? How do we stay unified? How do we help whoever maybe is even outside this bubble or just kind of close to it? My dad is one of 11.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, I have first cousins that are in their 50s, 60s, and then their children were my immediate cousins and
so like
your
people
we
second
grew
cousins
up with.
were you treated as your first cousins?
Yeah, correct. And so we were really, really close, and we were just like always, how do we help each other? How do we stay grounded? How do we unify and share what we have?
And you are one of three, right? You have two other siblings?
Yes. So one older, one younger.
Gotcha. And you have an older brother?
Yes.
And a younger sister?
Correct.
Gotcha. And how was it growing up in a household being the middle child?
The middle child syndrome is definitely a real thing. It's like, how do I find my own space? How do I kind of have that shining light? But it was really cool because I got to experience just my brother and his friends and that older sort of dynamic. And he took me under his wing, and I was a little bit of a tomboy younger, so I didn't have that like pretty princess until my sister came along, and we're like a year and a half apart. So it was awesome because we were very similar but very different. And our parents really just honed in on that and encouraged that sort of relationship. So, I mean,
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you had an older brother.
Mm-hmm.
You went through, I guess, the tomboy phase.
Yeah.
What's the age difference between you and your brother?
About 7 years.
Okay, so that's a pretty decent age difference.
Yep.
So, because I have a very similar situation. My oldest brother is 7 years older than me, and my second oldest brother is 5 years older than me. So I'm the youngest of three.
Okay.
But it was like, I remember growing up and kind of chasing them around.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because, when you think about it, like, I'm 7, 8 years old, and they're already in their teenage years. They don't necessarily want to be
anything to do with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then your sister comes along, who is a year and a half younger
Yep.
than you. All right, so the two of you must be extremely close as well.
Very much so. So we definitely tag team to overthrow my brother in a lot of cases and get my parents against him. So I'm sure that was fun for him.
Okay, gotcha. And so born and raised in the Bronx, correct?
Yes.
Well, whereabouts?
In Soundview.
Soundview. Okay.
Soundview, Clayson Point area.
Okay. And school-wise, were you in public school, Catholic school, private school? Where did you?
Yeah, so I went to Holy Cross. So it was a Catholic school. And I was there up until about 6th grade, 5th grade.
And then where'd you go to high school?
So then I went to middle school and high school up in Brewster. So my parents ended up moving up to Putnam County.
Very smart of them.
Yeah. When you look at the moment, I was so upset, right? This is all that I was used to. I didn't know anybody. And I was totally against it. Me and my sister resisted for, I would say, a good solid 2 years. And then as I hit high school and I started to see the major difference in terms of what my friends down here were going through or exposed to and what I was living up there or just what I had access to, it's a world of a difference, world of a difference. But I didn't appreciate it until I obviously got much older.
Yeah, I went through something extremely similar. Like when I was in high school, and one of my first episodes, I interviewed the president of Fordham Prep. And I did that because I went to Fordham Prep, but more so because of the impact that it had on me.
Yeah.
But when I was in 8th grade and I was going into high school, all my friends were going to either Spelman or Mount or Hayes or all these other schools. And I was like, I want to go where my friends are going. And my parents were like, nope, we're making this decision for you. This is where you're going. And you'll thank us for it later. And here I am, 43 years old, and I'm thanking them for it now.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful.
So your parents made that sacrifice to bring you from the Bronx up to Brewster, and that must have impacted your trajectory tremendously, right?
100%. It was, it definitely helped me also stay rooted in my culture a lot more because it was mostly and predominantly a white community, and I was very different, and I was also treated a little different. So it was more of a reason for me to be like, no, this is who I am. This is what I represent, and I'm not ashamed or embarrassed about it. And it really helped me grounded there.
That actually makes perfect sense to me now after knowing you for all these years, because you are a part of the intro was a proud Latina, and that's the vibe that you give off, and it makes perfect sense going back to what you just shared.
Yeah, I think we take it for granted when you're surrounded consistently and constantly by a certain group of people, right? You just assume that's just what it is. But once you leave that bubble or that safety net, and you're exposed to something completely different, you can either go two ways with it, right? You can totally reject it and just be like, I want to assimilate. I don't want to feel different. I don't want that sort of that counter. Mm-hmm. Or you can say, no, this is who I am. This is what I believe in. This is how I was raised, and this is how I come. Mm-hmm. And so it definitely was the counter one on me, because I was like, not at all, not at all.
And so after high school, where did you go to college? Or did you go to college?
I did.
I don't want to assume that you went to college.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
So I went to Iona.
Okay. So you're kind of working your way down a little bit, right? Because Brewster is north, and you're working your way back down to the Bronx.
Yep.
Did you commute? Did you stay there?
So I commuted the first year, and then just anybody who's gone to college usually have a not so great schedule, all right, the first year or two. So I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. for these classes and then having a huge gap and then going back to school. So I ended up moving back in with my grandmother, who lives over there by Kingsbridge, Marble Hill area.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So now Vanessa has made her way back down to the Bronx.
Yep.
What'd you major in college?
So I was a mass communications major with a minor in public relations.
Oh, okay, cool. I was a PR major also.
Yeah. I mean, you fit very well into what we went to school for, I guess.
I never thought going to college. So I picked public relations because it had the least amount of math. Right, I walked into pre-calc, and literally first day I'm looking at the computer and I'm just like, I walked out. They were like, this like literally they gave the syllabus halfway through the class. I got out. I just got up. I just walked out, and I went to the counselor's office or whatever, and I was like, listen, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. what can I do? And they were like, all right, well, you could focus in communications where you only have to go back and take one math course and it doesn't have to be calculus and blah, blah, blah. Lo and behold, it ended up fitting my personality perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think it's a perfect example of like God giving you what you need, not necessarily what you want, but without even knowing it.
Yeah. So similar. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to college, but my parents were like, that's not even an option, right? So
Not after they're moving you up to Brewster.
yeah, definitely not. They're like,
We're
we're
gonna
gonna
move
do
you
better.
on.
We know better. You do better. So I was like, okay, fine. So I went to school at Iona, and then I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just like, mass communications, kind of liberal arts scene. There's not too much pressure in terms of I can have a little bit more flexibility until I figure it out. And then I was doing advertising.
Okay.
And then my counselor was just like, yeah, there's no jobs in this market for advertising, so pick something else. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. So then I went into public relations because I saw a little bit of and had a better understanding of what it was. And so I was like, okay, I think I could do this with my mom. Because I was working with my mom in real estate at her office. And I was like, well, I mean, she's helping me pay for this, so I might as well
Help her
out. So then I kind of fell into that.
You know what I love about public relations is, and people always like it helped me understand it tremendously. Like I was talking to my nephew, and I was telling him, I'm like, so you're gonna focus on public relations, right? This is Justin that I have in the office.
Okay.
And I'm like, you're gonna work on public relations. He's like, what the heck is public relations? I'm like, it's very simple, right? Like, there's either two ways to get your message out. Number one, you pay for it, and that's marketing. That's like the advertising and the buses and the stuff you see. Or you pick up the newspaper and you read a story about a company, and it gets your story out that way. And that was just like the simplest way for me to explain it.
Yeah, that's the best way to honestly explain it.
It's just getting your story out there.
Yeah, and how do you control that narrative, and
Yep.
how do people receive you,
Yep.
and your company or organization, whatever it is? Like, how do you represent yourself?
And you were helping your mom. So here you are bringing this college education to your mom's business. Your mom was in real estate as well, right?
Yeah, so I'm a second generation realtor.
Okay.
So my mom, fun fact, her company was called MVM Realty.
Okay.
And I never knew what it was. And then she finally told me one day, it's like Michael, Vanessa, Melissa, which are the three kids. So I thought that was cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
So I ended up started slowly incorporating some of what I was learning there into her business, because she didn't really have any sort of marketing of her own. She worked in development deals with the city, state, so they provided a lot of that already for branded materials for the buildings. And I always told her, I was like, well, Mom, what if these development deals stop? Like, how do people know you for you and what you have to offer, not necessarily behind these sort of developers? And so I slowly started to vlog a lot of stuff. And I started to just share her story a little bit more. I started to document the properties that we would go on. I started to make brochures and started kind of learning everything there. I would come from school, go to the office, and just flip through whatever textbook page. I'm like, okay, Mom, this is what we're going to do.
Was she very receptive to it? Or
Not at all.
I was about to say.
Not at all.
Like what's commonplace for us now,
Yeah.
for that generation or that older scene, I can't imagine that she was receptive.
Not at all, especially that. So her office was on Girard Avenue, a block away from Yankee Stadium. So when she called it quits, I'd be like, okay, Mama, I'll just meet you later. Because that's when I started the after hours, because it was all servicing, right? During the day on the deals themselves. So then after hours, I would stay there late, which you already know I'm already used to.
Yeah.
And so I would just sit there and just customize these things, because, you're starting from scratch and you don't know necessarily what you're doing. So you're just kind of testing it out as you go.
And looking in the textbook saying, wait a second, so they're saying that we're supposed to do this, this, and this. How do I now bring this into real estate?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just like Googling. I was always a big independent learner, not necessarily school itself, because of just the curriculum, you had to be there and you had classes and whatever homework. But independently, I would always do that anyways. So I would just start Googling stuff and examples. Or if they were hosting classes at like the Bronx Museum of Arts, they would host a lot of classes there, and I would just go and whatever I could pull to see how I can make it real estate related or, PR related, right, and give her that. That's how I learned about Google business pages and things like that. I was like, okay, Mom, we need a bio.
This is what
like, let's start from scratch. Like, how do we do this? So, yeah.
And when did you say to yourself, okay, well, let me go get my real estate license?
Shortly right after, like in the middle of college, towards the end sweep of it, because I was also working like full time at Con Edison during school.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so I started working at Con Ed in the Steam Distribution Center, so down on 14th Street, and it was just more of like, I got in because of who I knew, and I was like, okay, great, this could be a good starter job, and especially in my early 20s with the pay that they were getting and the benefits.
For sure.
That's where I was like, okay, I had after school or before school, depending on the schedule, I would go there pretty much all day. But I'm like scanning loose leaves. I'm setting up like office meetings and, like
very entry level.
Very, very entry level. And I wasn't mentally stimulated. I was like, I can't do this. So then I found myself dedicating more time and interest to real estate because it covered so many different dynamics.
To Mom's business.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so after that, my mom was like, well, would you want to do this full time? And my dad was obviously against it. He was like, you're going to give up benefits for that? And I was like, Papa, like, I really like it. I can see myself waking up every day and doing this.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy, but neither is getting up at 6 or 7 for something that you don't love. So then, I ended up switching, and I don't regret it at all.
And so you got your license, then I assume your mom sponsored you?
Kind of, sort of. Because I guess you can say it, like that.
What, So was she
She was the main broker.
She was the main broker. So she sponsored you. You got your license. And then how long? Because if I'm correct, you worked in your mom's office for a while before coming to KW, right?
Yeah, I was there pretty much a majority of, because I've been at KW for about 5-6 years now. So I was there for about 8-10 years before I jumped ship.
Gotcha.
And I only jumped because she was closing down. She was retiring. She was like, I'm done. I did my 30 plus years.
Gotcha. And how did you end up, I think I know a little bit about this, but how did you end up at Keller Williams?
So once Mom decided she was going to be retiring, I started shopping around. I was like, who do I know? I was always, again, researching. So I was looking at who did the most business and the type of business that they did in the areas that I worked in.
Okay.
So, and also, this is also a relationship-based business. So who was I most comfortable with? Because my mom always made it seem so spooky, right? They're all out to get you. They're sharks. They're dangerous. So I ended up going to Exit. So I knew an agent that I had known for a long time. She was also a mother-son business and real estate team. So I just love how she presented herself. And she was very active. So I ended up interviewing with Exit, and then I kind of parked there.
Oh,
but
so
it was
you were with Exit for a little while.
Very little while, because they ended up getting acquired by Howard Hanna.
Okay.
And at that point, based on where me and my partner at the time were looking, we wanted to create a team. And they were very corporate in that sense, where it wasn't, they weren't really individual or celebrated the individual or that, individuality. They were more about their brand and their corp.
Gotcha. And then, so you ended up, you were looking, so how'd you end up at KW? So who did you know there, or did you get recruited, or?
Oh, yeah. So then at that point, once the acquisition was in motion, we were like, okay, no, we need to find a couple of different places to interview with that celebrate the team dynamic. And then my sponsor, Nessie Fuentes, she came.
Oh, you were sponsored by Nessie.
I was. And then she made the appointment with Jamal. We sat down, and I was like, okay, yeah, I think this is where I want to go. This is, they have the space for us to grow. And, everything else just was very similar to what other people were offering. But I always appreciated KW because of their education.
Yep.
They always had the resources. They had top producing agents. They had top teams. And I was just like, yeah, this is what makes the most sense right now.
And so you came into the Bronx office where we are now.
Yep.
Were you always in that same office that you're in right now?
No, so I was actually across the hall where Rob is. That was
okay.
our first office.
Oh, really?
And then once that spot opened up, and we started really almost doubling in terms of production, and we needed the space, and we were looking to start hiring. We jumped on that right away.
What were some of the biggest differences that you noticed when you joined KW compared to what you were, I guess, accustomed to?
The not being the big fish in the pond anymore, which is what I wanted, right? I didn't want to be seen as, the one that knows everything, because I don't know everything. And I was really excited to be able to rub elbows with people like yourself, you know what I mean? Like, I've been watching you for a long time as well. So I was like, oh man, I can really challenge myself. I look for that challenge and for that growth and that grit to really like motivate me to do more and be more.
One of the things, so I have a very similar story, right? Like I got my broker's license. My brother was my sponsor for the first 2 years, but then he went to law school. Okay. And then literally I did 2 years with him as my sponsor, and then I immediately just went and took my broker's test. So I was my own broker from 2007 up until I think probably when I first went to KW up in Scarsdale. And I met Jamal very similarly. And I was like, wow, this is exciting. You're in an office with people that are talking the same language, because I was the only one I was in my dad's office. I was with my 2 older brothers, but I was the only one that was really doing sales, I guess, at the time. My dad was, but my older brother was in property management, and my other brother was an attorney. Yeah. So it's kind of just me, like, teaching myself. And I used to find myself, like, people would always come to me and say to me, hey, I want to get my real estate license. All right, cool. And I had these big dreams of starting my own brokerage, but then I realized that I didn't have a way to train them. And I was literally like, I have notebooks, like marble notebooks of like me creating like courses for them. And I would have like team meetings in the morning with like 3 or 4 people, and all the things that I was trying to create, KW was able to offer to me. So I can understand exactly what you mean when you say that you felt like you were in a position that you could really grow and challenge yourself.
Yeah. And I didn't have to like learn the hard way along the way, especially with my own money, right? When you have your own brokerage and you have to like stop everything to create it, create the content, create the material, to make the time and the agendas and everything else that you got to deal with. I was like, no, I don't, because that was something we thought about too. And I was like, no, I wouldn't be able to really focus on what my purpose is.
Exactly.
And that wasn't going to work at all. So.
One thing that I tell people all the time, and I'm like, when I was my own individual broker, I had to carry insurance, I had to pay rent, I had to pay for phones, I had to pay for paper, I had to pay for paper clips, I had to pay all of these things that people don't necessarily think about.
Yep.
And then walking into an office the way that Jamal has it set up, it just makes it very seamless for you to be able to step into that, especially for people who are like-minded like us that want to grow a business.
Yep.
And I definitely feel that he is fostering an environment for people to grow and excel. And not only on the level of the market center, but KW as a culture.
Yes.
Right? I feel like you are very, very aligned with the KW culture, right? The giving back and God family business. Was that
in that order?
Yeah. Is that something that attracted you to KW as well?
So I think that's what kept me at KW. I didn't necessarily see or think too much about that in the beginning. It was just like, where do we go? What do we do? How do we get back into production? How do we create this team? So it was just like that sort of momentum. And then as I got there, as I had to figure it out, or that different challenges came across the way, it was wow, they really they walked the walk in that sort of, with that mindset and that culture.
Yep.
And everyone was so giving, and everyone is so encouraging. And you have like your own little cheerleader, right? Like, you got the Kool-Aid around back. So it was just always that like enlightenment and empowerment. And it's very contagious, right? So
yes. If you drink the Kool-Aid, right? Like people say, oh, you drank the KW Kool-Aid. Yeah. It's a great Kool-Aid. It tastes great. It's amazing. Like, there's nothing negative about it.
I have no qualms. I have no qualms. And honestly, it's like, and we've talked about this plenty of times, it's the sort of relationship that you build with the people it's worth drinking the Kool-Aid, right? These are people that are going to elevate you into different spaces and unlock different opportunities for you. And they want you to do that.
Yep.
They want you to grow.
Yep.
And, we have two major powerhouse teams that are operating out of the same office, yet, doesn't ever feel like there's competition between us, right? And that's the kind of culture that we have that I'm like, why would I not drink the Kool-Aid?
Not only is there not competition, like, okay, so the three teams, right? There's us, there's the my team, me and Jen, the Padernacht team, there's the Moravia team, and then you have Team Tigranes. Not only do the three of us not necessarily ever feel, I personally don't feel like there's ever really competition, but we actually encourage each other and try to help each other grow our businesses.
Yeah, and we collab on stuff, right? Because there's maybe certain niches that you're more familiar or an expertise on, and vice versa. I've worked with all three of you, or all three of us have worked together in different capacities. So it's like, why would I have to feel like I'm alone or having to kind of navigate this, complex ecosystem by myself?
I think that we would also be remiss to not speak about Jamal. And his impact on both of our careers. How has he helped you grow both personally and professionally?
Wow. I'm not going to cry. No, honestly, Jamal is just a beautiful person, right? And just everything he does it with intention, heart, great karma, a good spirit. And he doesn't let money sway his decision, right? And it's just, like there's a lot of money to be made in this business. But he's such a person where it's like, if that's going to bring any sort of negative representation to me, to the company, he's okay saying bye. Like that's not anything that he's so locked into his morals and his core that it's just inspiring to be around. And then on top of that, he's just a wealth of knowledge, on everything, a little bit of almost everything. And it's always the quiet ones, right, that lead the conversation.
The most humble.
Most humble. But he's also so down to earth, right? Like we always joke about it. It's like the more money, more problems. Like heavy is the crown, right? Because it's it's a lot going on. But what I like and I love and appreciate about Jamal is that he helps you unlock this potential, this leadership that you don't even know is possible or it's there. He has a very great knack for seeing someone's potential. And he'll give you the opportunity. He's not going to do it for you. And he'll, especially for me, like he'll give me that like soft touch, but he's like, get back on it. Like get to it. You got a lot of work to do. And so I love and appreciate the dynamics that he can switch in between.
And he's for me, he has taken more of a mentorship role, right? Like he's the the operating principal broker, so he could just stick to business, but he actually, for me, from my perspective as a as a man, right? Like I lost my father in 2009. I have my two older brothers, but they're not necessarily in the sales business. And Jamal has kind of like filled in and helped step in, not on purpose, just because he's been there for me for so long in the business world and personally to help give me advice and guide me along the way. I imagine for you personally, he's helped you as well.
I consider him like a life coach. Right? He's very much my mentor in business, but he's helped me navigate such complex areas of my life that I didn't even, like he didn't sign up for, right? Like I didn't sign up for, but he like with such devotion, was like, we're going to get through this. And like he's just well-rounded in all aspects of life, business.
I'm sure when he signed up, he didn't sign up to be people's life coach.
At all. And I told him, I gave him the out on Tuesday when we did the block party for the dunk tank, right? I bought him a ticket. I was like, Jamal, just get it out. Just get it out. I was like, I know I've given you a lot to think about and to worry on. So I was like, just get it out. And he was like, never.
Yeah,
So he still didn't take me up on it, but it's okay.
So when you came to Keller Williams, your journey wasn't necessarily about business. You were intertwined personally, right? You had mentioned you came with a partner.
Right.
So you want to just speak a little bit about that? Because you came over with Adon at the time, right?
Yep.
So how was that dynamic when you guys first came in? Were you guys married at the time, or?
Yeah. So no, we were not married. He was working full time at Con Edison.
Okay.
And once he saw, because I had no systems, right? Mom was straight up Excel spreadsheet and my phone.
Yeah.
That's all I had. And whatever I was learning from school, it's implemented. So when he saw that he was like, wow, you have great relationships. You have a churning business. He was like, imagine if you implemented systems. And that's how we kind of started thinking about creating the team. And then once we aligned with KW, he ended up quitting his job full time. He quit that and he came into real estate full time.
Oh, okay. So you were already doing real estate.
Full time.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so he jumped on that bandwagon. And then we committed to creating this brand, right? And it emulating what we felt as Latinos, how the community that we service, being primarily Bronx and first-time home buyers, and growing into, what we foresaw it becoming, which was, for the people, right? And being able to empower our communities with resources, access. And so we started with that sort of vision. And we got married in 2020. So we established it in 2018, and then we had that 1 year.
Okay.
And then we did our first hire, which was with Kevin.
Oh, Kevin was your first hire.
Yeah.
Shout out to
our
Kevin.
first official, definitely big shout out to Kevin. We're gonna do the camera. But he was like our first official hire. We had like one or two, but they were like little blips and like little temporary holds. But it helped us really envision what we wanted when Kevin came on board. And then COVID happened. Yeah. And it really put our systems and our relationship to the test, right? Like, how do we manage these roles and responsibilities with staff and everything that comes with it? So it was. It just kept ballooning after that. Gotcha.
So, so it's now it's the two of you and it's Kevin.
Correct.
Okay. And COVID happens, so everything goes digital. Everything goes virtual showings. How were you two able to navigate? Because, at that point, I feel like, if I remember correctly, you guys were still one of the top teams in the office. How were you guys able to navigate marriage, business, and also, this pandemic that's going on?
So it was really interesting because it was not just marriage, right? I had also become a parent through my stepson. I call him my bonus son.
Okay.
But it was overwhelming, to say the least. It was just really like, how do we just test this out on all fronts and let's see what works and try to communicate and rewrite it and then, kind of pivot. So in terms of marriage, it was difficult because it intertwined, right? It just, everything kind of bled, and we just really just almost kept our partnership hats in terms of the business because it was so fresh and we were jointly committed. So he took on the role as the CEO with the expansion, incorporation, and in getting those sort of systems in place.
Okay.
And then I took on the COO. So I worked on just operations, the day-to-day logistics, and therefore really working closely with Kevin in terms of how I wanted people to receive our brand, what to expect.
There goes your public relations background.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is. Shout out to Iona. There it is.
And then really just testing. So nothing really clicked until probably a year later, but we made significant progress. So we were the top team. We also, at that point, we were able to outsource and have showing agents. So we truly worked remotely. And I didn't get to meet all my clients until, a year, 2 years later in person. Everything was just digital for that whole time.
And but I feel like you guys saw tremendous success very fast.
Very.
How did that come to be? Was it because of the combination of him pushing the I guess the CEO version, like that vision, and you pushing COO at the same time?
Yes, and it was really being able to maximize on the relationships. Like now we had systems, so I can talk to more people at once. I started getting more comfortable being in front of the camera and continuing to vlog my experience
I
in terms
remember
of
the Car
entrepreneurship.
Chronicles.
Yes,
You got to bring that back.
Yeah, I'm
You
definitely
gotta bring
working
that
on
back.
making a comeback with that. It was so well received.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we really tried to make it not just a wholesome experience for the client or the customer, but as an, speaking agent to agent. This is what we're working with. This is what happened. This is how we handled it. And really being able to get a raw sense of what happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And on a go-to-go sort of basis, right? Which is why we got the Car Chronicles, because we were in our car all the time, going from here to there and in between. So the car was just like a quick breather, let's share and let's move.
How were you feeling when you guys were when the team was growing and you guys were on that upward trajectory? How was it feeling inside?
Surreal. It was surreal because so now I had already been in business by myself for about 10 years, right? And I never gave myself the opportunity to, to say, hey, I could be more, right? I was always tiptoeing around the edges because I was scared to jump in. But not only did I jump in, we jumped in head first, and now we were running laps, right? So I was exhausted because I was just like, I can't believe this. All my wildest dreams and the things I couldn't even dream are happening. And then I'm just learning so much, but not at my leisure anymore. It's like I'm forced to, right? So now I'm just like in this position where it's like jolted my entire nervous system. Yeah, on top of COVID, your girl had anxiety. Because I'm also a perfectionist, which is what I feel like, all on God's timing either way, but I feel like I delayed some of my blessings because of that.
Yeah.
Because I could have experienced this sort of success much sooner in my career, but because I was so like, no, it has to be like this, like this, like this. Whereas now we just newly formed this company. We had our first hire and COVID.
Yeah.
So we were learning.
And marriage.
And
motherhood.
And motherhood. Like, I was just like, what am I doing? But I feel like most people are experiencing that. And it's just a lot of pressure, especially as a female. Like, how do you show up in these different dynamics, right? And how do you take a step back and let your partner lead, but know that you need to also be present at the forefront of things? So it was just a true learning curve. And leaning a lot on Jamal.
Yeah.
Jamal was, in addition to family and friends in my core, it was really just a learning curve and truly embracing that and learning from it, not continuing to repeat the same sort of cycle.
So you guys are on this upward trajectory. Yep. Team is doing great. You got your first hire. Yep. You have, I think at this point, you brought Daniel on also. I remember at one point, and again, I've watched you grow, but I've seen different phases of it. I wasn't so engaged with your business, so to say. Obviously, we were right next door to each other, but so at one point I think there was 4, 5, or 6 of you. You had, I'm not gonna throw names out there, but you had 2 or 3 different buyers agents. You had, 2 admins. You, Adon. It was like one of you was just busting out of the seams.
Yeah.
I mean, how did that feel seeing that happen? I know you mentioned it was surreal, but how were you able to just kind of envision it? Did you envision it getting even larger? Or did you think, okay, I'm good with this right now, let me get my bearings?
So that's where I did not have as much involvement in terms of I just kind of went with the flow.
Okay.
And at that point, because I was just like, wow, this is catching on. Like, people are resonating with our brand, with our day-to-day sort of activities, and they are receptive to our systems,
Yep.
and they respect what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I was like very resistant at first because, again, I'm a perfectionist, right? And I was like, no, this needs to be done like this, and time management's a huge part of being a coach and a mentor, right? Like, you have to just make time not only for the people that you're working with, but for you to continue being in production and doing your day-to-day stuff. So I was humbly honored because I was like, wow, people are really rocking with us. They really want to see this happen, and they're committed. And when running a team, you already know, like, the biggest thing is getting people to buy into the culture.
Yes.
Right? If you don't have that, then everyone just becomes a drifter.
Yep.
And you have to find that alignment. And I feel like the people that came on at the perfect time because they tested our systems, they tested our leadership skills, and and continued blessings, even though that they moved on. But in that moment, everyone was really, rocking and rolling. So it was very, very interesting times.
I think one of the most important things about being a leader and having people that are working underneath you in a capacity that you have to show up differently.
Yes.
You have to show up as the best version of yourself because you now have people that are dependent on you. And a lot of times the people that are working as your employees or as your team members, they're depending on you and the dream that you had sold them when they joined to make sure that they could feed their families. And I always think about that when I think about if I'm going to bring on a new hire or if I'm going to bring on somebody into the coaching program or I'm going to bring somebody onto the team, is like, wait a second, am I ready to now put myself in a position where I now have to step up and be an even better, sharper, smarter, more ambitious version of myself?
Regardless of your circumstances.
Exactly. That's the thing, right? Like, it doesn't matter what's going on in your world because now you have these people that are looking up to you. All right. So timeline-wise, things are going amazing for Moravia. And then as life does, it starts lifing for you.
100%.
And you and your partner started going through some problems at home.
Yep.
How did that bleed into the business?
Yeah, so the pressure really started when my sister's kidney rejected.
Okay.
So that was in 2022.
Okay.
And I started spending more time, right? Because we're still working remotely a lot of time. And we had, between staff and our partners, where I was able to outsource a lot of my physical presence being needed. So in 2022, when my sister's kidney rejected, I started spending a lot more time there. And so
there being
up in Brewster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
because I was living full time between Queens, the Bronx, kind of nomadic between the boroughs a little bit. And then at that point, our relationship started going sideways. And then in March of 2023, we had just brought on Daniel, right? He didn't even have a full year yet. And this is where all of the background work and incorporating and applying for our certification with MWBE, with some of those grants, we were able to hire Daniel. And he quit his full-time job with benefits, and he took the leap of faith, and he was like, and he bought into Moravia. So shout out to Daniel as well. And then so he was only with us for maybe about 4 or 5 months, and then my partner and I separated, and then that started this whole other journey of kind of a rebirth of me as an individual, and then kind of that residual reflecting itself in Moravia. So at that point, it was, what do I do, right? Like, how do I do this? Because, like you said, when you're in a leadership position, you don't necessarily have the luxury. That's the word.
The luxury of hiding under your covers.
And even though we did that too.
But not for too long. You gotta get up.
Not for too long. Yeah. Because I was like, all right, I'll have to, jump in my car and drive an hour, because I ended up moving back to my parents' house just to kind of take a little bit of a sabbatical, which, all those years of hard work helped save me, my mental health, right? Because it was in despair at that point. Because you're so overwhelmed, right? You created this business that's growing exponentially, that is starting to resonate on a community level, that people even start thinking that my name is Vanessa Moravilla. You know what I mean?
You're in my phone as Vanessa Moravilla.
That's right. So imagine, right? Like because it was a partnership. So when they saw me, they saw him, and vice versa.
Yep.
So I was just mortified. I was so embarrassed. I was just like, this can't be happening, right? Because again, I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I waited until my 30s to get married.
Mm-hmm.
I waited to leave my mom's brokerage to start my own thing. I waited to hire, right? That was not us separating, and having to reorganize the business was not part of the plan. And so I had never prepared for that. And so that's where it started, my journey of just of negotiating, of taking Moravilla back, being able to now move from a COO to a CEO, to now becoming the direct leader of 2 staff. I call them my partners, but
they've been there.
They 100%.
They've been there.
Thick and thin.
I remember watching you guys go through it, and I remember you like just seeing, and I remember you and I having a conversation, and you're like, "Nah, Daniel and Kevin are staying."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, kudos to those guys, man."
Yeah. Because I refused. Just kind of going back to what you were mentioning, it's like I gave you my word, right? I gave you my word that if you left your job, that you would see and do better here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not going to let go of anyone. That was not part of my plan.
Mm-hmm.
That could have easily been part of the plan. And, it's very costly for salary, insurances, right? And everything that comes with that monthly commitment, regardless on a commission-based sort of production, whether or not you close
that
or not.
Overhead.
That overhead is going to be there.
Yep.
And so I just locked in. I locked in, and that's where I think my faith really came, speeding to the front of the line, because I was just like, I don't know. I don't know where to start, don't know what to do, don't know what to say, and how to even get a grip on this.
Well, I would imagine that there is a sense of not only are you battling keeping your business afloat, but your mental health.
Yes.
And emotional. Like, how did you, what got you through those times?
So I think that the biggest thing was where my family allowed me to grieve. Just, if they know I just needed to cry and to scream and just like bed rot, they let me do that. And then at the same time, Jamal very much, and yourself, Steve, right? Like, you were very much like one of the first people I called, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to show up for my guys for a while, right? And then you stepped in and with no questions, right? And it was almost like a guinea pig, because you got to really kind of test and implement a lot of things in our team that we still implement today. But it was locking into finding community, being able to explore my faith, being able to actively work through it, and knowing that at the end of the day, like, people weren't judging me. And that's what I didn't want. I think, emotionally and spiritually such a wreck, because I'm like, it's a representation, right? We gave you our word. We're professionals, and this is thing. So when I'm having to figure all this out and, starting to see what was happening and pulling back the layers, I was like, how do I say this or go through this? And, everyone for the most part just jumped in. It was really just being able to have the courage and process that vulnerability to ask for help.
There's a phrase, it takes a village.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like in your case, if I'm hearing you correctly, when you were at your lowest point, the people, family, friends, coworkers were there to help you build yourself back up into this version that I'm sitting across from right now.
That's right. All the kudos and support, because it was so crazy. So crazy, but I'm so grateful and fortunate. And I think just Jamal and I talk about this all the time. It's like living in the art of gratitude. And just being grateful that even though obviously I'm not grateful that this happened, but grateful that I was able to know who to ask to take the next step. And grateful that it wasn't more intertwined, right? And grateful that, people were able to differentiate him and me, right? And still be able to, grateful that Moravia retained its reputation for
and
what
identity.
it is. And identity.
And identity.
It wasn't, at that point, it was more me having to come to terms with it. So that I can come back to the limelight a little bit. But Moravia was able to really retain itself. And credit to the guys, right? Because the guys really embodied what it meant.
I'll never forget when you called me and you said to me, like, I know we have this thing going on with the lead generation, system that we've created, and I just, this is going on in my personal life, and I don't want it to affect that. I still want to keep going. And I remember telling you, like, listen, let's just get through it. Like, whatever you need to get through it. If you still want to do this, then let's just continue doing it. And then here we are now. You said that was 2022?
2023 was actual the split.
Yeah. So we're talking two years later, like you're just coming out on the other side, like got through all of that.
Yeah.
And now look at the team now. Look at you guys thriving and you personally thriving. Like it's just a testament, I feel like, to your background and where you come from. And, you were raised right. And that whole perfectionist angle that you keep mentioning, I feel like that was something that you put on yourself.
For sure.
That we don't need to be perfect.
Yeah.
We just have to show up as the best version of ourselves in that moment. And I feel like the most important thing is just doing unto others as you want done to yourself. So if you can just show up as the best version of yourself for your team, for your partners, for your coworkers, that's what got you through it, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I receive that and I'll accept that because, that's 100% accurate.
Something else that I don't want to gloss over is that, your partner was the CEO. So you weren't necessarily involved in that aspect of the business.
At all.
You were running the operations aspect. So now all of a sudden, and I know this very well, running both versions and now having to go in and learn about the certificates. And I remember you kept telling me, like, he did the certificates, he did this, he did that, but now I have to go and learn it. And just watching you in the office day after day, night after night, like just kind of teaching yourself how to do those things.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Thank you. Because again, it was, I think that the biggest thing for me where I'm sitting right now, if I can speak to anybody, especially like the women out there, it's don't be afraid to take up space boldly and intentionally and fearlessly. Because for me, it was very easy to be like, that's your responsibility and this is my responsibility.
Yeah.
And because maybe certain aspects of that title intimidated me, I totally retreated, right? And so when it came down for me having to assume that responsibility, it was overwhelming because I had literally disassociated myself so far that now I was like, how do I catch up? But then reminding myself that all along, this business was created off of my database, off of my community, off of my relationships, right? Off of my knowledge and my hard work. And it was, I've had to learn a plethora of things in like the midst of it happening and unraveling. So I was just like, no, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to learn what it means to be incorporated. I'm going to learn about our certifications. I'm going to learn about managing payroll. I'm going to learn about the type of insurances that we need. I'm going to learn all of these things as a CEO that are core to you expanding, right? I'm going to learn how to implement systems better. And I kick myself now because I'm like, damn, if I would have just stuck it through from the beginning. But then again, it's like, you know, everything on God's timing because, it made me more passionate about leading with intention and making sure that as leaders, regardless of gender, that you have access or that you have a foundation of what you know you should do and how to get to the next tier.
The expression that I love is that the teacher will appear when the student is ready. And I take that with me literally like almost every day, because it's like there's so many people that told me so many different things. And just to your point about kicking yourself in the butt about, I should have done this sooner. Like, yeah. I try not to live there, right? Yeah. Like I try not to live in that version. Like, listen, going through my 20s and my 30s, like there were so many moments where like you see me now and you see me waking up and I tell you I get up 4 or 5 in the morning and I'm in the gym and I'm doing, that was not me. Right. If you would have known me in my 20s and early 30s, like that was not me. I was not.
It makes me feel a little better.
Yeah, that was not me at all. This version of me showed up when, I had no choice and I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And almost out of being forced to be this version of myself, because during COVID, I was in the office, so you saw me there, but I wasn't really in the office. Right? Like I was in and out. I was really running my construction business. And then during COVID, my construction business went down the tubes. And I was forced to say to myself, wait a second, what am I going to do now? And I said, wait, I'm a broker. Let me just go back to being a broker. Like that's what I do. Yeah. That's my training. Right. And that's when I went back into the office and I started being there every day. And I remember Jamal telling me, and he's a common theme in this podcast, I remember him telling me, like, listen, you have to show up as if you are the number one person in the office, and you have to be here before anybody gets here and leave after everybody leaves. And if you do that, that's the first step to getting where you want to go. And I feel like for the both of us, we've kind of been on a very similar trajectory. I want to just segue just a little bit into health and fitness, because you had mentioned that your sister's kidney had failed. So that's going on while you're going through this separation in your marriage and this divorce in your marriage. How did that play into your decision, or I guess let me ask it this way. What did that mean to you when you first heard that your sister was sick?
It was devastating because she had her kidney prior to that for 15 years. And the average lifespan for a transplanted kidney for her age group, right? Because she was about 17.
So she got a transplant when she was 17?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
And it was my cousin that had donated to her. And at that time, she was pretty much almost 100% match. And so the chances of her having the kidney, almost like a lifer, were very high. But again, her age group, because they're introducing alcohol, right, and college life and medication, right? So the average lifespan is maybe 3 years, no more than 5.
Wow.
So she more than tripled it. And but unfortunately, right, our bodies are our bodies, and they naturally looking to reject. And
of course.
So when it expired, I was devastated, because that's not, again, anything that was in the plan. That was not what I had even thought of. I thought we were past that. And after the first 2 years, you kind of, have this thinking where it's like, okay, coast is clear. And so once that happened, they had never tested me because I was only 18 at the time, and you needed to be like 21.
Oh, okay.
So I felt like, again, God's timing was impeccable. Chef's kiss on that one, because I was like, okay, I'm going to get tested now. I can do this. But I was morbidly obese. That's literally what the letter said. And it was such a reality check, because between the stress of marriage, managing a business, being a parent, and still trying to show up in all other aspects of your life, I had ballooned up to almost 300 pounds. I was about 275. Wow. And even during the time after her rejection, to get tested, they wouldn't even test me. And it's just blood work, right? They wouldn't even do that until I hit a certain threshold. So
you had to be a certain weight. I guess.
And they go by your body mass index.
Yep.
So once Adnan and I started separating, I also, in addition to family, my religion, I also started taking up my health and prioritizing that. So I started running again. I started eating better. I started just intentionally, seeking movement in my day-to-day. I lost about 30 pounds of my own.
Okay.
And then
Were you able to get tested at that point?
I still wasn't able to get tested because I needed to lose another maybe 50 to 60 pounds before they would even test me. Because remember, I was in the morbidly obese category.
Wow.
So I needed to shed that before they even tested it. And I was like, okay. And I think someone in the office had mentioned, hey, my girlfriend looked into this. You could possibly look into bariatric surgery and your insurance will cover it. And I was like, what? And so my family history is riddled with, and I feel like this is also a common theme, especially within Latinos, it's high cholesterol, high blood pressure. I was pre-diabetic. And you have heart issues, and we already have my sister with her kidney issues. So I was like, you know what? Let me just look into it. There's no commitment. Let me just see. So I went, and then I stuck with it, and I ended up qualifying. And
for the insurance to cover the surgery.
For the insurance to cover the surgery, you had to take other tests. You had to show progress that you were following the step-by-step plans and going through the eating adjustments, the diet restrictions.
And you love a good system.
Oh, don't I? Don't I? But not when it comes to my cookies and cream. Like, that's different. Like, I want my rice and beans and, everything that comes with it. And I was like, oh, here we go with another life lesson. But I was like, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I'm at where I'm at right now. I'm obviously not healthy. I need to continue to do this. So.
But you were doing it, you had your why.
Yes.
I feel like that. I don't want to gloss over that, right?
No.
Like, yes, we all want to take control of our health. We all want to whatever.
Yeah.
But not for nothing. But the shit hit the fan, and your sister needed this.
And I did the calculations based on what I was losing when I was losing it. It would have taken me 2 years. 2 years to lose the amount of weight that I needed to lose in order just to take the test.
Yeah.
Just to take the
and
test.
Your sister didn't have that time.
And no, she was already, dialysis, it does a number on your body, right? It's artificially keep detoxing your body, whereas your kidneys do that.
Yep.
And, just seeing her, and I'm not going to cry. Just seeing her on a day-to-day, like, exhausted. Like, she wasn't able to do anything. And this is every other day.
Yeah.
And just...
The dialysis is every other day.
Right. And it's for, I want to say it was like 4 or 5 hours every day. Oof. And so you really don't have time to
this is your baby
readjust.
sister, too.
My baby sister. And it's like I've always, as an honorable mention, when she first got diagnosed, I retired my mom because I wanted her to spend time with my sister. And my dad was already retired and, was, being able to spend time with her. But it killed my mom and it killed me to see her not being able to, and especially it was unexpected. So I always took on that role. Like, this is my baby sister. I would do whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so when it first happened, I retired mom. They got to, really be able to be there for each other. And then when this happened again, I was like, what do I do? And so that's when I kind of went on that journey. And I was able, when I did the calculations, I was like, if I did this now, not only will all my health, personal health, improve, and that I can find long-term stability, because I've always yo-yoed, I was like, my sister would have a whole different lease on life again. And so I qualified for the test, and I went in September of 2020. 2023 of September.
Yeah.
And then I ended up taking the Metro North myself. And I was like, all right.
This is you going for the surgery?
For the surgery.
Gotcha.
And it was like 5 a.m. on the Metro North from Brewster down to Times Square. And I'm like, I can get off right here. And my sister made it very clear that she wouldn't judge me. She would never, feel any sort of way if I opted out. And I was like, she's going to love me either way. I don't know if I want to do this. But I stuck with it, and I walked myself in, and then just the recovery and everything after paid itself off. And within a few weeks, I dropped about 40 pounds.
Wow.
And, yeah.
That's a major
A major shift.
Like,
and of course, they want to start cooking up a storm. Never cooked before. But this week, when I got out the hospital, they're like, let's make lobster ravioli.
No. What?
Like, what is happening? So, yeah. And then I was able to get tested. And it was tons of blood work.
Really?
Consistent blood work. Urine test, psychological test, right? Multiple doctor visits. And then literally the week before Christmas, they called me and they told me not only was I a match, but I was 100% identical match.
There you go.
100% identical match. And they asked if we were twins because pretty much me and my sister, people say that we look alike. I don't see it. Maybe if you like just the eyes. But they were asked if we were twins because we were pretty much identical on the inside.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
So you were a match. And
match.
then you go through, how much later is the actual transplant?
So that was in December that we found all the good news. And then in April of 2024, family reunion was a big deal for us because that was pretty much a reminder for me that the clock was ticking before I had this surgery. And that I was going to have to take additional time off, right? So that's where I also started, again, pulling all-nighters.
Yep.
Because I just had to leave everything in place for my guys.
Yep.
And I was still coming back, right? We work on 30, 60, 90-day projections and pipelines. And we were just getting back into the flow of business.
Yep.
So April was when we went under. And everything, literally... First thing that happened when I woke up, and I was still drugged up and still loopy, but I was like, "Did it work? Did it work?" and they said it the minute they made the connection, it synced instantly. And then she and I just celebrated our 1 year kidney transplant anniversary.
That's amazing. I think it's just another testament to, God really just giving you what you need. Right? Like, I mean, you didn't know, like. You're battling business. You're battling a divorce. You're battling all this new business growing, and then all of a sudden you get smacked in the face, and it's like you have to show up for your sister. And again, you can't just hide under the covers.
No, literally. I mean, again, we did that too because it is important that you take the time to really accept what's happening in your life. So that you don't hide from it. Like, this is your reality now, right? And what do you do with that? And so I'll cry. I would cry all the way from the Bronx to Brewster and back.
Nothing wrong with that.
And I was like, all right, I got an hour out. When I show up to this office, it's fresh face because I know I'm going to cry back on the way home and no one's going to do that with their mascara. None of you guys would know, but that burns.
I can only imagine.
So I was like,
I can only imagine.
All right, we're going to figure this out.
All right, so I got I got some more stuff before we wrap up, but was there ever a moment when you actually felt like giving up in business, and what shifted that?
Multiple times. It was having the ability to afford to, to be like, well, if I let the guys go, I would be able to slow down. I'd be able to catch my breath. I'd be able to say, I don't have to figure out all this stuff right now, right? Like, I could take 2 steps back, put the systems and the thought in place to be like, okay, now I can do this sustainably and a little bit more consciously and have a say, right? Because I didn't have a say in anything that happened. So it was multiple times, not only just saying that out loud, but also finding the right people I can vent to, which was Jamal again. And just saying like, Jamal, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. This is unfair. I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I wanted. And him reminding me, you could do that. You could do exactly that. But why take a step back when you can leap forward? And just reminding replaying those conversations. Anytime I walked into the office and I would see the guys there from, 8 to 5, 8 to 7, and just as dedicated, right? Everyone had to, take a step back financially, right? And still come just as hard and committed. And when I looked at them and I saw that, and I was just like, they're not running away. Why would I run away, right? And so again, having them there to remind me of that, being able to have people like you and all the people in the office literally cheering me on from my separation to me stepping forward back into the office solely as the team leader, during my transplant with my sister. It was like I had such a supportive group of people, and people that were like, that believed in me. I was like, okay, no, I got to start believing in myself. Like, there's no way that I can keep walking around and have all these beautiful people around me and me not come with that same sort of energy. So then it's literally rewiring your brain, rewiring your thoughts, because, everyone could say that about you, but if you don't believe that about yourself, at that point, it's going to be falling on deaf ears. And I'm like, no, I maybe took a few steps back, but I took a hell of a lot of steps forward. So I was like,
what does success mean to you today, and how has that changed over time?
So I would say that success to me means leaving a legacy of representation for women, for Latinos, for young people, right? Because I started this 16 years ago, right? This was not something that just happened when I made Moravilla. It's been 16 years in the making. Being able to just see even younger generations being able to, like, I have a little clique and a little crew in the office, daughters of some of the agents, right? And they'll come in and they'll see and they'll be like, wow, like, because you've been into my office, it's very woman oriented.
Yes. So it has changed over time. Yes.
So being able to just be that representation and proudly say, if I did it, you can do it too. And being able to, again, just, I have partnered with some amazing organizations, and being able to cultivate a community where people feel like they can do it and that they have the resources or the access. That's what I'm looking forward to. And being able to create more leaders has been a big thing of mine, and being able to empower people a little bit more to explore their own stories, and being able to harness power from them and rewrite and continue to rewrite those chapters and create new chapters, right? So, what
does financial literacy mean to you, and why is that such a pivotal part of your business?
So it's really, I give all the accolades to my mom on that, because with the developments that she worked in, they were city funded, and they were geared towards lower and middle income households. And she literally people that never owned anything, or their family ever owned anything in their life, she would take the time, sit with them and teach them, this is why your credit is important. This is how you maintain your credit. No more saving money underneath the mattress. This is how you save money and create more money. This is, it was very sort of just foundational principles that I take, or that I could easily take advantage of, because I've always been exposed to it. Whereas a lot of people don't have that exposure.
Yes.
So it was
especially in some of the communities that we work in.
Right. And it's also, some topics are also taboo and considered like, that's not,
you don't talk
about that, right? That's rude, and that's, that's, you don't do that. So just being able to literally provide resources and meet people where they are, so that they can eventually set themselves up for success, and providing like attainable action plans. When you say financial literacy, some people, depending on who you're talking to, they might think of stocks and dividends, whereas in other cases it's just establishing a good habit of saving money.
Yeah, a budget.
Just a budget, right? And just being able to identify those key words and so passionate about it that I've partnered up with one of our nonprofits, Strive Higher, or Kids Building Wealth, where she teaches financial literacy concepts to children. And me doing it with adults, we came together, and now let's bridge the gap on when people are introduced to these topics, right? The average age, I looked it up, is like close to almost 30.
Wow.
Like, at that point, you've been made a whole bunch of mistakes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and you have no concept of what that is, or how to get past it. So we came today and we're like, no, we're going to start picking this up and doing this together. It's our fifth annual. She got the program picked up in one of the schools in the Bronx. And that's our goal, is to be able to implement these sort of curriculums into schools throughout the Bronx. So that this way, you know, you empower the younger generation. It has residual effects onto their parents and the adults in their lives. And then they carry it on, and that's how you get that generational awareness.
You teach a child to fish, and they'll never go hungry.
Okay. Yep, exactly.
It's literally what that is. All right, lightning round.
Okay, let's do it.
Favorite book?
Right now, I Could Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi, I think his name is.
Okay. Favorite podcast? Besides this one, of course.
Right, of course, of course. Ooh, I don't know. I have the silly ones, okay?
No, whatever.
Whatever. Shits and Gigs.
Yeah.
Oh my God, James and Fuhad, they kill me.
Okay.
That's just my guilty pleasure.
All right, cool. Favorite restaurant in the Bronx?
Taqueria Texacali on Sterling Avenue.
Okay.
Best tacos.
Favorite type of music?
I'm a sucker for like 90s, early 2000s R&B, hip hop. Sort of scene.
One word that describes Vanessa.
Magnetic.
There it is. Okay, so I thank you very, 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 very much for being here. That is your camera right there. Why don't you just tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, where they can find you?
Yeah. So Vanessa Villanueva with the Moravia sales team. You can find me on all social media platforms under Moravia NYC. All our information's in the link tree or bio. You can text, call, email, DM. We're here to help.
Everybody, this has been another episode of the Padernacht Podcast, Brick by Brick. Thank you very much.